back here with another episode of Our Story. Our guest for today is Roy Joseph Roberto, and he works as the platform governance and policy operations lead at Lazada. So I'll turn it over to Roy to introduce himself.
Hi everyone, I'm Roy Joseph Roberto. As mentioned, I'm currently the platform governance and policy operations lead of Lazada Philippines. So here I report directly to the vice president of operations and manage a team of business analysts and developers.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us today, Roy.
Of course, always a pleasure.
Yes. Okay, so we'll start. I just want to go back to your childhood, your early days. I want to know, what was your path like to, studying engineering? What were your interests then, and why did you choose electrical engineering?
Right. Good question. It's always my childhood dream to become a scientist or become an astronaut, right? I loved experiments like discovering new things, inventing cool stuff out of toys, for example. So I have this toy collection of robots, and sometimes I disassemble them into a new figure, and I really felt happy when I created something new. And then in terms of pursuing engineering, of course, there was parental influence, right? You know how it is in Asian families. But on a more serious note, I took up electronics and communications engineering because I was fascinated with how telecommunication systems work. I was really curious on how the Internet of Things, meaning to say how different devices really communicate with each other to perform a specific function or objective, and how this kind of technology can really solve and address a host of issues that we face in our society. You know how it is because of our increasingly globalized world. We've opened up our borders, and therefore there was really a strong need for remote collaboration, maybe through teleconferencing, SMS, or other digital platforms. At that time, I felt by taking up electronics engineering, I'd be playing a crucial role in making the world even more connected than it already was.
That's super interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot.
Definitely, I definitely didn't think that way when I was before college, but that's so amazing. So
I was
interesting.
thinking the same thing, that I did not have that much sort of forethought, I think, when I went into college, or even when I graduated, sort of what I wanted to do, or the impact that I wanted to have. So, I mean, with regard to that, I mean, you seem already like very driven and focused, and jumping into tech seem like that makes a lot of sense. How did your journey, or can you tell us a little bit how that unfolded after you graduated? Decide like where to work, or what were you, specifically looking for a role in tech, and as you think back, like what were some of those milestones in your early career?
I think it's not always a very straightforward path for me. I mean, like any college student, perhaps, I was also doing some introspection, really exploring what I really wanted to pursue after college. So I tried many different things. I applied for different jobs, sometimes not even related to technology. But at the end of the day, I think I see myself as a problem solver. And the rate at which our world is changing today, we definitely need to augment our human skills, right? Our human comprehension with advanced or disruptive technologies like artificial intelligence, big data, to address our society's problems. And what I like about technology is that it's always changing, right? It's not static. So your capability today might be obsolete tomorrow morning, right? So that's how fast it's changing. And you really have to keep up and continue learning new stuff. Here in technology, or as a technology practitioner, you cannot afford to do things at your own pace because you will be outmoded or outdated by what's happening before you. Like, for example, in my role in Lazada, we're a very fast paced company, so sometimes our policies change also depending on the emerging demands of the market. So we have to keep up with that. And definitely, as a practitioner, as a data scientist, and as an aspiring data science leader, I really need to keep on learning about the recent developments in how we can apply data science, for example, artificial intelligence, in our e-commerce business.
That's great. I love how like well-rounded you are and how aware you are with like the impact of technology, even, as you were considering electrical engineering. I just wanted to like go off track a little bit from our list of questions. Who are your inspiration? Like, when you were, whether you were studying or when you were considering like your first, job, or like the direction of your career, like who was your inspiration, or were there like books that you read, or were there like companies that you looked up to? Like, what was your inspiration like to be motivated to where you are today?
Oh, definitely, my first company, Accenture, played a very influential role. I think Accenture was very data-driven company. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, we invested a lot, millions of dollars in our artificial intelligence initiatives, and even our late CEO viewed that we need to reskill our future workforce so that they will be responsive to the demands of the fourth industrial revolution. And definitely Steve Jobs would be one of the persons I look up to in terms of technology, in terms of innovation. And definitely, I think as a guiding principle, it's always about the customers. You really need to have a very customer centric approach, because right now, I think people are platform neutral, right? So sometimes platform really doesn't matter as long as you give them a hyper personalized customer experience. Then I think that's the best thing that you can offer now to your customers. So instead of focusing alone on what technology to use, what kind of offerings or deals that you need to offer to your customers, even more than that, you need to focus as well on their customer experience.
And I guess to just like continue that conversation, I did notice that you attended a couple of design thinking classes, both in Ateneo and at the D School, which is obviously all about, human centered design. Did you do the class with Cal Joffres, by the way?
Yes,
Cal
exactly, with
and
him. Yeah.
Glenn Fajardo. So
Yes, Glenn.
they've supported, they've been so good in supporting PhilDev. Cal, actually, we did an interview with Cal for one of our innovation challenges. But anyway, yeah. So what interests you the most about innovation? Like, how do you define innovation, and what do you think are the critical like innovation that's going to happen in our world?
Right. I think when you're trying to come up with a solution, right, you cannot call it innovation unless you can commercialize it. And this is where design thinking comes into play, right? It's not just a tool, it's not just a system or a new way of doing things. It's really a mindset, right? So sometimes we think of design thinking as like, putting sticky notes on a glass wall, etc., etc. But really, it's a mindset. And if you're thinking in terms of design, in terms of systems, in terms of the people that you wish to serve, then you will come up with better innovative ideas, with better solutions that really cater to the needs of your customers. And sometimes, as technical practitioners, right, we only focus on the technology. And that is why now there is this really increasing demand for technical people to also delve into the business realm, because we can't isolate ourselves into the basement, right? Writing codes, developing models. We really have to go out there, not to work in silos, go beyond our comfort zone and really talk to people, really collaborate and communicate with our stakeholders, with our target audience, so that we can really know and understand the problem. We have to begin with an end in mind, right? We cannot just say, hey, this is a good or sexy technology that we can use for this problem, but the customers don't really care about it. So we need to also understand the customer DNA. And by design thinking, you will be able to surface the core and real need of your customers, of your target audience, so that from there, you can base your approach or methodology on how to craft or devise the solution for that specific set of problems.
I
We're so
definitely,
inspired.
I know, like, I definitely agree 100% with what you're saying, Roy. 100% support the fact that you need to marry, this design thinking mindset with the technical skills, and that you can't work in silos, and that collaboration is really, really key to
Mm-hmm.
really coming up with the best innovations. Um, But that said, I'm gonna ask you, having worked at different companies now to date, like what skills would you say are the necessary sort of fundamentals to get into a tech startup? And then once you're in, you also mentioned that technology is always changing, right? What are some of the sources or courses that you would recommend that keep you current and up to date with, how the world is changing?
I also had a master's degree in data science, right, at a business school. So maybe you're wondering, what does a business school have to do with a really technical or a seemingly technical field like data science? So in my training at AIM, we're taught how to, to learn how to learn. So it's called learning agility. And in every startup or even in bigger organizations, things are changing fast, sometimes at a blistering pace. So you really need to learn things fast, fail fast and learn fast, because if not, you will be obsolete, you will be irrelevant at some time in the future. And definitely as a data scientist, our field or specialization cuts across different industries, right? We're domain agnostic, meaning to say we can be data scientists in a bank, and then at the same time we can also be a data scientist in a marketing firm. So it's the skills that we learned in data science, in artificial intelligence, is kind of field agnostic, but definitely domain expertise still play a very crucial role, and that's your role now as a data scientist, to learn these kinds of stuff, because just knowing about how to develop the models, how to write algorithms won't just make the cut. You need to, like I said earlier, you need to consult with key decision makers and really learn about the domain, so that you will be in a better position to assess the right approach, the right algorithm and models that you need to develop to tackle a specific problem. So definitely you need to have learning agility. I think that's one of the most important skills that you need to survive and thrive in the 21st century. And of course, like Lazada, we're already 9 years old, right? It's our ninth birthday. I'm not sure if we can still be considered a startup, but definitely we still work in a startup culture. We don't have a lot of bureaucracies in the company, and we do understand that there is always a need to skip all these formalities of emails and stuff. Sometimes we always communicate via chat, right? So we can finish things a lot faster. Um, but yeah, everything is moving so fast, and definitely you need to keep on learning, and you need to stay hungry for self development, for personal development, and always try to go out of your comfort zone.
Again, I'm 100% like nodding and like plus wanting like everything that you're saying. um but do you have any specific, for our followers and our audience members, um suggestions or recommendations of courses or books or resources that you've used or that people should really be paying attention to, or that you recommend?
Right. But maybe just a pretext before I answer that, no. Uh, in the near future, even non-technical jobs, like for example, being an accountant, will already require some level of programming skills. So definitely, whether you like it or not, sometime in the future, you need to learn how to code. And as data scientists, right, when we're trying to play around with data, I think the most common computer language that we're using is Python. So you might want to learn or enroll in Python courses. I mean, there are a lot of online modules, like for example, in Coursera, in DataCamp, etc. You can ask your organizations to sponsor you an account, a free account on these kind of platforms. But definitely, there's a vast amount of resources available on YouTube, on Google, etc., etc. Maybe to keep up with the business community, I always read HBR articles or Forbes about data science and artificial intelligence. The latest or the most recent ideas and concepts from leading business thought leaders that we have. So you might also want to um, read those kinds of stuff. I also have some books, like for example, how charts lie. I just don't know. I forgot the name of the author, but definitely it's a good way of trying to understand how data is sometimes being used in the wrong way to manipulate perhaps the perception of the public, etc., etc. So as ethical and responsible data practitioners, you would also want to really present factual data. That's kind of that sounds kind of redundant, right? Factual data, but because sometimes, right, data is being manipulated as well to maybe forward a political agenda or whatnot. And definitely you need to learn programming and a lot of business analytics skills. So practice. You cannot learn or become a good coder by just watching YouTube videos. So you need to put those theories into practice as well.